Hello, Leeds United fans. It's your Sunday supplement, your Sunday edition of Leeds United. I was going to come on here and we were going to speak about, I don't know, just bits and bats, life and all this sort of stuff. And, you know, we kind of get into a few bits when it comes to Leeds United. But today, we're turning the dial up. Gabe is back after leaving us for a week, which saw us not upload the hard line. I can't replace Gabe. It is Gabe's show. So he is back this time, but we've dialed it in. We've got actual topics to discuss, which is great. We've actually cultivated some show notes, which, my God, it's novel. We're speaking tonight a little bit of a rumor rater, what we want, what we don't want, where we need to improve, where we don't need to improve. And thank you collectively for supporting the One Leeds fan channel. If you haven't checked the video out from earlier on, a little bit of waffle from me, as you know you're going to get from me. However, it's quite interesting looking at some of the players that we're linked with, and I focused on two specifically a little bit earlier on, but this is your weekly dose of the hard line, and it is the first live show we've done since the battle lines, the controversial battle lines on Thursday night, which was prickly to say the least, I have to say, but a little bit more context of which we will get into a little bit later on, everyone. But if you haven't watched that show, my goodness, it's well worth it. But shout out to everybody in the chat. We've already got rumours flying in from you guys. I don't want to see us bringing has-beens in like Wilson and Vardy when we can just give Bamford those minutes. Hi, guys. Good to see you both. Peter's in the building. Connor's in the building. Man Cub of the North is in as well. Guys, listen, lots of really good chatting here already, I can see. Make sure you slap on a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the One Leeds fan channel. We are going from 10 a.m. tomorrow, GMT, back to regularity when it comes to the room mills tomorrow, which is where we're not really talking that much about confirmed, but it is discussion discourse, and you all love that stuff, as do I. So we'll get in the individual of which we've missed so dearly over the last week. It is Gabe the American. How you doing, mate?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Connor?
Yeah, it's always good when we get Gabe in a really vibrant mood, and we've got him this week, so we know we're gonna have a good show. But where were you, mate? Where were you? I was getting DMs. Where's the hard line? And I was like, look, my man's away. So you need.
Acts, ladies and gentlemen, this guy acts like he doesn't know where I was. I've told him, but he just doesn't listen to you when you tell him things. It just goes through one ear and out the other. I told him I was flying for a wedding across the country.
Say that again?
Yeah, exactly. No, I was. I flew 7.5 hours to go to a wedding.
Great. Well, I mean, I did go to a wedding, but it was in Reading, and my wedding in Reading was documented on the One Leeds fan channel, and it was only 4-hour drive, mate. And you guys, when you go 4 hours, it's the next town, isn't it? For us, it's like
it's not even the whole of California. It wouldn't take me. I think I could get to LA from here in 4 hours, maybe, if I really burned rubber.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, guys, make sure you're sharing it up. Make sure you're liking the video and all that sort of good stuff. How we Connor? Oh, good, mate. Thank you very much. Thanks for asking. So, okay, let's get into a bit more of a sort of rumor rater, Gabe. I think you thought of the idea a little bit earlier on, and I thought it was a good one, actually, in terms of because dispelling.
By the way, at 3:30 in the morning, when I had a quick moment of waking and Connor pings me, and said, all right, mate, you up for the show today? I'm just like, he's lucky I'm awake. What a nutcase.
Yeah, organization, which drastically needs to improve next season, drastically. So, okay, mate. Well, I guess we could. So what we're going to do, just to give you a bit of a preface, guys, we're going to speak about a certain individual, speak about him for X amount of minutes. We're going to give it a high, medium, or low rating. Do we think it's going to happen? Likelihood, likely, not likely sort of thing. You give your thoughts in the comment section below as well. A bit of a prediction video, sort of, in a sense as well. I think the best place to start off with, Gabe, and you can rattle a few back to me. The one that's kind of interesting today as well, he's just literally played an hour and a half ago anyway. Callum Wilson.
Yeah, it's been on the radar for about a week, actually. And remember, Callum Wilson would be on a free. So
you would?
Look, I think that whenever we're going to get linked into with players, there's going to be this idea that the link means this is our starting forward. Yep. Callum Wilson's had a bit of bad luck with injury, right? Hasn't been great for him. Only played 21 matches this season, only 1 goal. But when you look at one season ago, I mean, this guy scored 10 goals in the Premier League, right? In 26 appearances. 18 the previous season in 30 some odd games. This is a guy who knows how to score goals. So even if he's not your number one striker, I'll tell you what, he's more proven at this level than anybody we currently have on the team sheet. So you risk nothing by bringing in Callum Wilson on a free. Even if you rotate 2 strikers and you play him half the games, he's gonna, like the data tells me, and the eye test, he's a good player. He's a very good player. Tells me that, he'll bang in 9 or 10 goals no matter what, even if he only plays half the game. So would I pay money like on a transfer fee if that was the situation for Callum Wilson? No, probably not. But on a free, I don't see what you lose here.
Well, I guess some people would say that maybe when you're looking at wage structure and bringing someone in, if someone like Wilson was to come in, it would be a pretty penny when it comes to wages. He'd take up one of the striker roles, and you'd expect that he'd come to Leeds.
I wouldn't worry too much about wage, Connor. We're going to be selling some players. We have losses to declare through and categorize through amortization. There's going to be all kinds of things we can play. Like, sure, we wouldn't be able to afford the wage bill of a Europa League or Champions League team, obviously, right? Because you get different, way bigger revenues there. But remember, we had players on absurd wages last time we were in the Premier League, and we achieved nothing, right? So I think that there's this idea that, we really have to worry about the wage bill. I don't see that. I mean, yeah, but we can't pay stupid money for players. But Callum Wilson at this stage in his career on a free, he's going to have to take a different deal anyway. So no club is going to pay him the kind of wages that he would have, taken 4 or 5 years ago. But we can afford him. We absolutely can. What we can't afford is big wage players like 3, 4, 5 more like 4 or 5 signings of them that are going to be big transfer fees as well. Like I think one or the other.
Well, I think how I'd look at him is I think they have the big thing as well, and this can be to do with injuries as well, Gabe. And I'll just go on about this for a little bit. How I've kind of looked at Callum Wilson is he worth a punt? I'm not 100% sure, and we're going to go with the likelihood here between me and you, what we think. I think it's not just an injury record now. I mean, he's missed 20 games this season because of injury, 2 separate injuries, back and hamstring. I think how I'm looking at it is I could see this one getting done. The contract obviously expires. I think the big thing for me, mate, is a diminished role at Newcastle. I think over the years, obviously, when Isak's come in, he's taken over the lead marksman role, the number 9 role. Obviously, it used to be Callum Wilson, but Callum Wilson was getting injured so much. And when he gets back to it, he's rusty a little bit. The performances aren't great. And then obviously he's injured again. And this is kind of persistent right now. It's not the level of which
Isak's also a better player. And a better player than Callum Wilson at his best.
I would say that Callum Wilson is one of the best number 2s in the league. The problem is with Callum Wilson is if we're only going to have him fit, Gabe, I can't set one marker for one player and another marker for another. I've said that I need players into this club this season who are going to play 90-95% of minutes, especially if they're of a good high caliber. Callum Wilson, it depends on Leeds' budget, but Callum Wilson coming in, I mean, missing 20 games and being 34 next season, I'd miss this one, mate.
On a free. You would miss it on a free. There are not a lot of players who have this kind of goal scoring record in the Premier League that you can get on a free.
I guess it depends what you do. I guess how I'm looking at it right now, how I'm looking at it is if we've got 3 strikers, obviously it very much depends on what happens with Matteo Joseph, of course. That's kind of
well, he's not staying. Like you can't seriously tell me you think that Matteo Joseph's going to be.
No, I don't. But obviously, I can't confirm.
Neither Pat Bamford either. Like in my mind, they're both gone. We need 2 new strikers, no matter what.
Yeah, but this is from your perspective. I think we're doing it from a likelihood and unlikelihood of what's.
But this is all. You really think it's likely that Pat Bamford and Matteo Joseph are with Leeds United next season?
Bamford, yes.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. No way.
It's not my preference. Don't shoot the messages.
That's really what you think?
It's not my preference. No, all I'd get rid. I wouldn't get. It sounds get rid when I'm talking about Joseph. I would not be
get rid.
Yeah, no way. But I'd be loaning him out 100%. But or if we were to sell him, Gabe, I would look at a buyback clause, and hopefully Leeds United could be the preference maybe in a year's time if we've stayed up. But I do think Bamford's going to stick around. I do. I honestly think that's going to be a thing. So if I'm looking at 2 spots, I think Peru will stick around. I would like Peru to stick around on the bench as well. I think you'll get some goals in the Premier League off the bench. So you're kind of looking at the 1 striker place there. But then it's very dependent, Gabe, on if Bamford doesn't stick around.
There's no way. And feel free to clip this up. And I know some of you will. There is no way we go into this season only looking to sign 1 striker. No way. Absolutely not. If we do, we go down. So
okay, well, what about on the beat?
that.
The Leeds United, the one Leeds is here is saying Callum Wilson, likelihood they're saying 39%, and unlikelihood they're saying 61%. So in terms of just the general stance in Leeds United, you've given your opinion, I've given my opinion, but what do you think the general stance will be from Leeds? Do you think
I think it's about 50-50 it gets done because he's on a free. That's
okay.
why.
Okay.
If he cost any more money than that, I would say probably not.
I think
because he's on a free, I think, and I do think that Betto is going to be expensive. Like some of the other guys we're linked with, I think would be more expensive.
Love it when you give away the next one, but okay, keep going.
No, I didn't realize that. So you've been talking about these guys for a week.
I have, mate. That's why I needed one of these rumor raters. Wilson scored those goals when he was in his prime.
Last season, he scored 10 goals plus. And he's only, I mean, look, we talk about injuries, but he's only ever played less than 15 games one time in his career. So if you sign a second striker like that and you keep him healthy, he's the best second striker you could sign on a free.
That's true. That's true. When you kind of look at it and you look at the other side of the coin, if you manage his minutes and you keep him healthy, that is absolutely, I mean, like I say, it's 34 next year. You've got to do that. Don't get me wrong. Callum Wilson, do not get me wrong here. Callum Wilson, I've always been a fan of him. Always been a fan. There's a reason Newcastle went in from, and they've kept him under this new ownership, by the way. That's a big thing.
You need Premier League players too, Connor. And let's say that they go and sign like a young, like younger than 25 striker from a top European league who's banged in 15 goals plus. Right? We'll talk about that in a minute, Paul. Let's say we do that. You don't know how that player is going to acclimatize to the Premier League. He may take 3, 4, 5 weeks to really get his feet, or maybe he never finds them. To have a second striker like Callum Wilson, who, again, you're not going to ask him to play 35 plus games. Like he probably can't do that. But if you're asking him to play 24, 25 games, he's going to get you 10 goals plus in return. Tell me what, like, there aren't a lot of guys you can get that proven in the Premier League on a free.
Depends.
It won't cost any money.
Dude, it depends what we do with Bamford. That's the big thing.
Bamford's going to Wrexham. I'm telling you now.
I hope you're right.
I've heard a lot about that. They're going to pay him just like they have with other players. They're going to pay him wages you should never get paid.
You've heard something with Bamford and Wrexham, or are you speculating?
No, I have heard quite a lot about that. Have you not?
Not really, not that much. I literally created the rumor. No, I created Bamford to Birmingham.
No, they wanted Jamie Vardy, but it doesn't look like he's interested. So now they're going to go. They're looking at Pat Bamford pretty strongly.
All right, cool. So the chat's gone with 62%. They think it's unlikely. So we'll move on to the next one. Do you want to throw one into the mix?
What? A linked rumor? No, you've got some lined up. Why don't you go?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go in with that.
I wanted to be. I didn't know if you came in with
very collaborative. This is nice.
Yeah. Likelihood, though, I think from my standpoint, I'd be a little bit wary. I think there's a medium to high likelihood Leeds get him. Medium to high likelihood. I think it's very strong in terms of in comparison to the others, in my opinion. Okay, let's move on to Betto. Powerful forward, Premier League experience, gives Leeds a lot when it comes to adaptation to the Premier League. Obviously, 2 offside goals today, but if a couple, one of them I think was
he's stat padding now, isn't he? At the end of the season, it's kind of nice for him.
He's stat padding, but one of the contextual things I think with Betto is obviously the fan base, and look, it's subjective. I completely understand it. The fan base is saying stuff like, "Look, we can get better. We are a newly promoted side. Betto in this division currently is doing okay. I think he facilitates a lot of our small technical players. We need more physicality in the team as well." Gabe, what are you thinking with Betto?
I think he would be a good signing. So I don't want to. The first thing I don't want to open up saying negative things about the player when they're. He would be a good signing. I think that when you're looking for a tall, physical forward, you look for maybe a little bit better ball control than Betto has. He likes to get in behind. He's not necessarily a possession-oriented, hold up the ball type larger forward, right? So he kind of doesn't play the physical type a little bit. And I also want to point out that he's played less than 2,000 minutes this season, so he's been hurt as well. His goal return has been good, but I think there's, we'll see what Everton wants to sell him for. I know there's a valuation, but I think Everton's going to jack up another 10, 15 million on that valuation. For the money, I don't think, I would be concerned about the money we would spend both on wage and on transfer fee, because again, it could climb up to a 30, 35, maybe even a 40 million transfer fee Everton would want, because they don't have to sell him. And with Everton's issues with strikers as well, I just don't think they'll let him go cheaply if they have somebody else. So if we got him, I think he'd be like, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a good player. Would I want to spend that kind of money on a player with his return, with his injury record? And honestly, he hasn't been in the Premier League that long. As you see, he's some of the goals he's scored.
Udinese, dude, was good at Udinese.
Yeah, he was. But some of the goals that he's scored have been, I would say that maybe they flattered to deceive. But even at Udinese, he never had a season where he scored 15 goals. It was always under, right? So it's not, when we talk about players making the jump, and I know it's a different level, but one of the players that I've always talked about that was an obvious jump to the Premier League was like Mitrovic. This guy was scoring like 30, 40 plus goals in the championship, several levels below, but less unplayable in that sense. I'd want to see a little bit more dominance in a weaker league. All this to say, I'm just not high on it. If we sign Betto, I wouldn't be upset about it, but it really depends on how much money we would pay to bring him in. His wages are going to be high, but like in addition to a perhaps north of £30 million deal, I don't know if I would make that deal.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm looking at if it was sort of 15 million and we had an Everton fan on mic and we were speaking about this, he thinks 15 million would be a really good deal for us newly in the Premier League, a player who's may not play week in, week out, but will facilitate a lot of us going forward, brings a lot of physicality in this league, is doing well. Look, he's a purple patch player towards the end, so it's form running into the next season, hopefully, if we were to get him. There's a bit of conversation about Leeds paying a lot of money for him now. I'm not sure Everton are now that keen, especially from a fan's perspective, that this is a move. I would go for this one, and I'm just having a look at the chat now. 15 mil max, swap Harrison. Harrison's one who's interested in this deal. He's interested in this deal. A lot of people are speculating as well when it comes to Archie Gray and Solomon. Obviously, Leeds paying installments. Could a Solomon deal be effectively brokered against that? Paul says, Paul, we're not speaking about Raskin, mate. This is what you guys do.
And remember that we'd be signing Betto to be our number one striker, and we wouldn't be signing Wilson to be. We'd be signing Wilson to be like 1.5 or second striker.
What about Betto and Wilson? We take that with real quality behind.
I would want to see who else we would get.
Okay. Well, we've got interestingly, the chat's beasted it there. Unlikely, 80%. Likely, 20%. So overall feelings from you, Gabe? Are you thinking?
I think that's about right. I agree with the chat based on the fee. If the fee was less,
yeah,
fine. But to spend that kind of money and there are just too many questions. I have too many questions. I sound like the Riddler on Batman Forever. There's too many questions.
Well, have you got any other striker options? Because I'll be honest, mate, with the recent ones, I think in terms of actual credible reports and actual and obviously this is going to increase. None of the top leagues have ended yet, effectively. So this is going to increase in the coming days. But I don't have any other strikers of which I've really heard Leeds properly.
No one that we've really been linked with. I mean, that we've been linked with Jamie Vardy. Again, that would be another free. He would be your second striker too. So it's either Wilson or Jamie Vardy. You don't get them both, right? So, and the thing is, for everybody kind of laughing about Jamie Vardy, I mean, the reality is he's still scoring goals in a team that stinks. And there are some matches where, honestly, like I would love to have Jamie Vardy coming either off the bench or starting one.
I think he's lost that yard, Gabe. I think he's lost.
No, he definitely has. Yeah. But if you get enough in behind him and someone plays a ball on a plate, he's going to score. He's going to score.
Right, Paul, I need to dispel this, mate. And I get this a lot on pretty much every single stream, and we get a hell of a lot of suggestions like this, mate. There's no chance we're getting Sesko. Sesko is going to a Champions League club. There's an argument that he's going to. I saw someone the other day say Gyökeres. We are not getting these types of players, mate. No, absolutely no chance. But I think we've got to be looking a little bit down the pecking order for certain individuals and being a bit more savvy when it comes to recruitment. So. Vardy, yeah.
And remember, for some of these guys on a free, you're not looking for them long term. You're looking at them to give some stability in the Premier League for a season or two at max. So, like, different players you sign for different reasons, for different tenures. If you can get Jamie Vardy on a free to give you maybe his swan song, you might get. And again, you wouldn't want to sign him as your main striker. You wouldn't want to sign Callum Wilson as your main striker. But these guys could, in the event of an injury, step up and play big minutes and bring some big returns for us. I mean, remember, we had Rodrigo in the Premier League, and everybody complains about Rodrigo, but he's still like, he scored goals for us that last season. And when he got hurt, who did we have? Nobody. So you do need to have somebody who can score 9-10 goals as your second striker if you're gonna the Premier League's physical. It's hard to finish a season.
Well, guys, just have a look at the poll in the chat right now. Gabe, I'm going to ask you as well. Vardy or Wilson?
Oh man, that's actually really difficult.
Yeah, because you're almost looking at them effectively as second-ish options. And
I would say I'm going to say Vardy because I think that Vardy will play more games
and has played more games as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, like you're right, he has absolutely lost that half step. Again, he's still scoring goals. They're both really good finishers. I think the risk is lower.
Jamie's saying neither. How about neither? There is better out there, Gabe. There's a lot better out there. Let's be honest. I know it's Premier League experience, but
for a second striker who scores goals in the Premier League, that's what I'm saying. I don't want either of these guys as our starting number 9 next season. That's not the conversation we're having. And the conversation, in my opinion, we're having is like, would you sign these players on a free? Yeah. They're better than the strikers we have right now.
And what I'll say as well, Jamie, Eric, and a few of the others, it's you kind of have got to look at. But the thing is, right, you're talking, Gabe, and I guess we are right now. We're talking about a second striker. Is Peru not the second striker off the bench? We're not having that. 6 to 8 goals in the Premier League, maybe in certain games.
We don't. I mean, you say that like he's done it. We have no idea if he's up.
But will he be? Is it going to be like effectively marketed as that? And we're going to keep him. I think we're going to keep Peru around. I'd be stunned if they got rid of him. I really would.
Yeah, I have no idea how to predict that. Like maybe we will, maybe we won't. Part of me thinks that he is like one of those ideally suited for the Championship or the Eredivisie or something like that. But I don't know. I really don't know. I doubt that
first chance at the Premier League.
Yeah, I doubt that we're going to just clean the stable of strikers and start. So we'll keep one from last season for sure. But I do think you need a new striker. Something that's interesting, though. I'm going to just rattle off some names. Just we're thinking about making the jump. Out of, let me see.
There we go.
Out of 25 strikers who are in the top 4 or tied in top 4 of Championship goals over the past 5 seasons, how many do you think actually went on and did better in a top division? It doesn't even have to be the Premier League. It could just be a top 4 or 5 league.
Not many.
No, not 25%. So the names are who actually did well was Ollie Watkins, Pukki, Ivan Toney, Solanke, Mitrovic, and Doucouré. That's it. Everybody else we have Sami Smotic, 27 goals in the championships last season. How do you do this year? Not particularly good. Adam Armstrong, how do you do this season? Not particularly good. Crescencio Somerville, Morgan Whitaker, Josh Sargent, Josh Brownhill. These are the guys who are in the top 4 scorers in the championship this season. Do we think that those guys make the jump? I don't necessarily think so. 2 seasons ago, we have Akpom at Middlesbrough. Didn't really make the jump successfully in another league. Carlton Morris scored 20 goals that season. How's he doing?
Qualities. I think I look at the championship now and I can't. The quality is really poor this year. I can't think of many who I'd pick out for the Premier League. I really can't.
I mean, does anybody want to see how Lewis Scrabbin would do in the Premier League? I don't.
Is he alive?
This is a 20 goal scorer 5 seasons ago. So 25%. Literally, that's the number of success, like the success conversion from the championship to not even just the Premier League, but a top league. And some guys do it, but most of them don't.
Yeah, there's a bit of context as well with some of those names, Gabe, as well. I think there is.
It's a large data sample, though, 25 players.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of context, but it's a large data sample.
60% have said Wilson, 40% have said Jamie Vardy. Interesting. 39.
Richard really wants us to look at that Vanat rumor that I know where he's gotten it, but he said it on repeat over and over and over.
Rich, I might speak about that tomorrow morning, mate.
Richard, have you ever seen Vladislav play? Genuine question. I've not watched him. I've not seen him.
So, I've never seen anything about him.
He's one of those names that's linked with a couple of rumor sites.
His record doesn't look remarkable either. Doesn't look remarkable.
But I've not seen him play, so I can't really.
Rossi says, "Great point, Card. The quality in the championship this year was poor, was shown by the point. There's no way, mate. The championship was. I think it's the worst in memory for me for a long time, a hell of a long time. Really, really poor. And that's prefaced by the fact that Leeds were good this season, but realistically, when we look at it, if we'd have replaced a goalkeeper a little bit earlier, we realistically would have probably finished on about 110." Points.
Yep, that's true.
and genuinely, and that's with a few missteps as well.
Who's up next?
Okay, who's up next?
Actually, you know what? I've got a player I want to talk about.
Okay, go on then. Can we structurally?
Oh, okay. Do you want to go position by position?
Sorry. Are we still on strikers or not?
Look, unless anybody has another striker we should talk about, I think we should probably move on.
Okay, chat. I'm going to count down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Okay, Mika Biereth at Monaco, 22 years old, scoring goals for fun. He is unbelievable, mate. I mean, he's been literally racking them up for Monaco. He's on the circuit. This is the same with Burkhardt. I mentioned Jonathan Burkhardt at Mainz on the channel years ago. When he was 19, we were just going into the Premier League. There was loads of hype about this lad. He's 24 now. Mainz have just finished third. He's flying. They reckon he's the new German poster boy. You've just got to get him at the right time. There's no way Jonathan Burkhardt now comes to Leeds United.
Well, I'm going to asterisk that on you, Connor. If we sign some other players before him, like if we make some quick signings and bring some really strong players, I'm sure we're going to talk about some of them, like in the midfield positions, who have played 35, 40 games in the Premier League only last season, are a little bit unfortunate to be dropped in a really competitive side. Arthur, you troll, get out of here. Then I think that does change the equation for young players a little bit. Like they're like, oh, they brought in this guy. Oh, they brought in that guy. Oh, they're serious. You know, that's what I'm saying. It can make a difference. Objectively, though, where the side is that now, you're right. They probably don't come to Leeds United. But if you make 3 or 4 signings in the first month or so, and they're strong signings, it does change the equation. It does. It has to. It's less risk for a young player.
Feels like the Champions League importance as well has become more and more and more and more now as well, a European importance. I know.
Why go to Tottenham? Tottenham aren't going to qualify for the Champions League in a long time. Why go to Manchester United? They're not going to qualify for the Champions League in a long time.
They will if they win it.
They're not
if they win the Europa League, they'll win it. One of them statistically will get.
Oh yeah, I get. That's true. It's so crazy that. It's so mad to me that's
dude. The good thing as well is I mentioned it on a video earlier on. We are now looking at potentially 10 English clubs if permutations fit. That could be in Europe next season, which stretches the squad and makes it a lot better for Leeds. Which is really decent. So yeah,
I don't want to qualify for Europe in the next 5 years. I literally just want us to be mid-table so we don't have to play those extra games.
You wouldn't want to do a Forest, no?
No, I think.
Or
it's going to be difficult for you're getting me sidetracked.
Yeah, I am. Okay, next one that we're going to speak about, who is still getting rumored today. You're not going to like this. I don't think you're going to like either of the two midfielders, right. But it is that, look, we are not recommending signings here. It's the rumor rater.
Okay.
Kalvin Phillips.
No.
Likely or unlikely? Third midfielder potentially on loan. That's what's been spoken about. On loan is a third potential midfielder. Not a starter for Leeds United, although I'm sure he'll want to. Apparently his agent is in Leeds United's ear, according to a few reports. But
he would have to, like, why would Man City pay a portion of his wage bill so we could have him on loan?
I don't know what else they can do with him, mate, if I'm honest. Don't know what else they can do with him.
Some other team will snap him up.
He's 30 this year. I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Look. I really want Kalvin Phillips to turn it around. I'm not a sentimental guy though. I just don't think he will.
Gabe, if 100% right, if he's got, I mean, how many years has he got left on his contract? City, I'm sure he's got 2 years left. Yeah. Let's say he's got 2 years left on his contract. Actually, no, that can't be right. Oh, yeah, sorry, it's Ipswich Town. I'm looking at Ipswich Town because obviously on transfer market, it goes Ipswich Town's contract expires. So he goes
the 11th rated player for Ipswich this season.
So his contract expires at Man City in 2028. If you're Man City, I know what you just said, 100% you would loan him back to Leeds, especially with the clear example we've had this season in terms of revitalising a player who's hammered by injuries. And then he comes back to Leeds, albeit in a division below. Completely understand that. Kalvin Phillips, City will think he's going back to his boyhood club. If they can, galvanise something in him, of which puts him onto another level, like they did before. Because let's be honest, that's the best.
A lot of ifs.
Yeah, it is, but it's the best club.
And was he galvanized for Leeds United before Marcelo Bielsa came? What kind of player was he before him?
No, well, that's true. But what if you're Manchester City? If you're Manchester City and he's got 3 years left on his deal, and a club's not going to come in and buy him out of that, if there's a club to loan him to, it's Leeds United. 100% of the price. He was literally.
Well, why would Leeds United take that deal?
I don't think they should. I don't think they should. You know my position on it, but I've absolutely.
I would love it. Like, listen, part of me sentimentally would love that to be the case. Would love it to work. I don't think it will. I've watched a lot of Kalvin Phillips the last 2 seasons. He stinks. He's not the player he was. It's not 1 season. It's not 2 seasons. He's bad. He's not a good player anymore. His fitness levels are atrocious. His confidence has gone because of it. So do I want him to come back here on our dime, get him back to fitness, even if he's even ready? You're different at 30. Believe me, I know. I'm turning 40 in a month. You're different physically 4 or 5 years later. Could he even get to that kind of level? Would the club demand him get to that kind of fitness level the same way Bielsa did? I don't know. It's just, there's too many what ifs. It's too much risk. I think there are other players that, and I'm sure we'll talk about them. There are some players that we've been linked with that I would really like in our midfield. Right now, I rate Ethan Ampadu higher than I do Kalvin Phillips right now.
100%.
Yeah. So why bring Kalvin Phillips in? Maybe you keep Ampadu at center half, like Parker might want to.
Is he? How I think how we've got to look at it as a collective is we've got to upgrade these players, right? We've got to, you look at a few of the rumours, of which we'll get onto in just a little bit. It's about improving. I think I'm looking at Gruev in the midfield as well, in particular. Yeah. The upgrade on Gruev, it's pretty easy, simple upgrade. Kalvin Phillips.
He's not an upgrade on anybody in our stable right now. Who is he better than? I'm not talking about when he was at Leeds. Who is he better than now in our stable?
I think he's okay.
No, I think don't say it. He's not better than Gruev right now.
Based on what?
Based on the performances. Have you watched Kalvin Phillips in the last 2 seasons?
Gruev's never played in the Premier League. Kalvin Phillips at least has.
But there are some things that are league agnostic. If you're playing a pass to no one that defenders snap on, if you're stumbling and causing errors that are leading to goals, that's not a level of competition thing, Connor. That's a level of focus and fitness and confidence. I don't think he's better than anybody. I'm not saying has he been better or is his potential, but at 30 years old, it's not a potential conversation anymore. He's not young.
100%.
He is. We have to start wrapping our heads around the idea that maybe the player we saw under Marcelo Bielsa was the exception rather than the rule.
I just don't rate Gruev that highly, so I don't think upgrading Gruev.
You don't say.
As a Premier League player.
But I don't think, if we're going to sign midfielders, I would rather sign somebody who's better than the stable.
I would, of course.
Yeah. And those options are being linked to Leeds United as we speak.
Let's not get this misconstrued. I'm just offering a counterbalance here. He's right, Connor, 100%. Then I'm absolutely happy with that, mate. I'm just trying to offer a bit of a counterbalance, otherwise it'd get a bit boring. Messi never played in the Championship. Okay, only played 50% of Ipswich's games. He did get better towards the end. Look, I'm not saying go for Kalvin Phillips, but I think a lot of Ipswich fans will tell you that Jens Kjust and Kalvin Phillips were the best midfield partnership they had when Kalvin was available. But as Gabe said, it's when that is, and he's 29. Conversations to be had, of course. Right, moving on, and it's actually someone who is within the camp. Just going on the Kalvin Phillips thing as well. Unlikely, he's gone 84%. 16 is likely with the chat. Joe Rothwell.
No, I mean, he's gone anyway, right? He's back to his club.
But there are still rumours about us going back with him.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Thank you for the time he's got here. He gave us great, but
let's speak about it a bit as well. Let's give it a bit of airtime.
Well, all right. So would you rather Joe Rothwell or Tomas Suchek?
Yeah, course.
That's what it comes down to for me, right? So, yeah, I'm not paying for a transfer. Actually, how much time does Rothwell have left on his deal?
Not sure.
I mean, either. I'm not sure what the fee would be, but either way, I'm going for a guy like Suchek. I'm going for a guy like Longstaff. I'm going for better midfielders that have played for really good teams recently and have played well. And honestly, it's just the ecosystem for these clubs is so competitive. And players like Sean Longstaff are being left out. You know, like
Lee said as well. Lee's not far off it, but the different profiles, Lee. I think, but they for me, Lee, it's obviously we don't have Rothwell as a player of ours, but it's neither of them. You've got to upgrade these positions.
If we're selling Gruev, I'm not bringing in Rothwell. I'm bringing in Suchek. Simple.
That's the level, isn't it? Yeah. That's the level.
It is. Or else we're going to be in a relegation fight anyway. By the way, so Suchek plays for a West Ham United team that's only what 3 places over the relegation zone. So
should we? That was the next one.
Yeah.
Suchek, Thomas Suchek, in the chat, let us know. And Gabe,
bring me Suchek.
No, but you got to think of the likelihood as well. The likelihood. Do you think?
I think it's really likely.
I think it is too.
I think 60% or better. We land him, and I think that'd be. If that's our first signing of the summer and it happens in a couple of weeks, I'd be delighted.
I would. And I think that it's in the chat as well, everybody. I think the beautiful thing about Suchek is obviously he's playing today, and you kind of know exactly. Do you know, it was quite interesting as well looking at Vladimir Kufal, and maybe that's who we'll get onto when it comes to defenders as well. But when it came to Thomas Suchek, Kufal put a ball in and Suchek headed it, and it was a brilliant save by Sells in the net. It was only about 3 minutes into the Forest West Ham game, and you just thought that. I know it sounds ridiculous, but whether or not it's Bogle, whether or not it is Kufal, and we get him in as a sort of rotation option with Bogle. With Bogle's maybe struggling with the defensive side of things, you kind of look at it and you think that is such a lovely option, isn't it, Gabe?
I think it's more likely we bring in. I don't want to. I know we're trying to go position by position, but I think it's more likely we bring in Kyle Walker-Peters on a free than it is that we go for 2 West Ham players.
Why is
that? Because I think, again, just like you can spend more money, you're gonna have to spend more money for an impactful a cam, right? Like that costs more money.
Kufal is free, isn't he? It'll be free because he's out.
Oh, that's right, he would.
Yeah.
I suppose. I mean, but he's 32, isn't he? How old is Kyle Walker-Peters?
28.
Yeah. I think Walker-Peters is a good player too. I don't think he's a bad player at all.
Well, we're not talking about him yet. We're talking about Suchek.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do you bring in Suchek? Like? No, sorry. Now you've confused me. Of course, you bring in Suchek. You confused me with the
Suchek and Kufal.
Yeah, with Kufal. Right, yeah. Well, we'll talk about Kufal later. Suchek, yes, 100%. If you have a chance to get him, you get him.
30 years old. Does that bother you?
No, because in 2-3 seasons we're gonna have to do this all again. So
constant improvement.
Yeah.
Let's see what the chat says. Matt says Suchek bye. Is that an NSYNC song? I'm not sure. Telly says no to KP and Rothwell. They offer 0. I completely agree with you there, Telly.
Nice hat, Telly.
Yep, great hat. He might like to be a big fish in a small pond. I get that Leeds, North Carolina, but we are not the testing pond for that. It was a period of time, I think, which was, let's be honest, with Bielsa, it was it was lightning in the bottle for so many players.
We finished 9th with championship level players.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not going to happen again.
Lee says Suchek is set to join Everton.
He's rumored to go to Everton. There's no anything.
Well, there will be with Moyes, Kufal as well. It'll be
other teams want these players, but I think.
Well, someone who was really interesting as well, and who was waving goodbye. The likely 72% for Suchek. I don't think Suchek happens.
I think it's 50-50. Pull up Kevin's comment here. Or Ken's, excuse me, not Kevin's, Ken's.
Yes.
We could do better than Suchek. Better than what? What are you talking about? I like Ken, but I don't know what, better. How do we do better? This guy is, 37 matches played this season, 9 goals out of midfield. One of the highest rated players in the side, has been a consistent performer for a long time. He played 52 matches last season.
I think this is the thing, and this is the thing which kind of worries me a little bit. I think it's expectation. And I do get this a little bit with Betto as well. Your first season in the Premier League, I do wonder if the grandeur of Ellen Rowe at Leeds United maybe gives people this, maybe expectation that we're going to be going out and getting X, Y, and Z. I think Leeds have got to be smart. We've got to work within PSR. Suchek is obviously a free transfer. Yes, we know it goes against PSR anyway, but if Leeds are to make moves, unfortunately, outgoing wise, which I think we will see, maybe with the likes of Pascal, maybe the likes of Matteo Joseph, who knows, Willian Yonto, we're going to be in a really good place with that. The 49ers have set themselves a fair bit of money to attack it as well. I think when you look at gems, maybe like Suchek with him, I don't know if he's out of contract. Is he out of contract? I'm not sure.
You'd have to get him on a transfer fee.
So yeah, apologies, guys.
Yeah, I'm thinking between 20 to 25, probably.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about the other guy that I was about to speak about. So yeah, I think
Suchek would be a mate. Listen, Suchek is a signing you get if you want to stay in the league and play well. The guy's won silverware. He's been one of the best performers for this team for years.
Yeah, so
he's really good,
and he is solid. He is solid. So I think
he wouldn't get into the Real Madrid midfield, but what do we want here?
It's goals, it's physicality, it's a bit of athleticism. But yeah, his contract is. I've just checked everybody. It's till 2027, so we would have to buy him. It wouldn't be a ridiculous fee, but they would have to buy him, and we would definitely have competition with Everton. Having competition with Everton is probably something where you should look at as well and think, do you know what?
That's 100% the main competitors for us right now. Everton, Wolves. I mean, some of these teams are.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I think Suchek was a big percentage. Next, and we saw guys.
Subscribers are smart.
Yeah, guys, as well. We've got 153 likes on the video, and we've got 800 of you watching. We've also got 1,300 of you watching across all platforms. Please transition over to YouTube. You won't get any delayed playback. You can subscribe to the channel as well. You can join the memberships. Make sure you come over to YouTube. But on top of that, everybody, when you are over here as well, make sure you're hitting the like on the video. That's not enough of you. Make sure you do so, please. It really helps the videos. So let's move on to the next one. And this is one which I think is actually very likely, in my opinion. Check Doucouré. Abdoulaye Doucouré, not Check Doucouré. What man about?
Probably likely because he's on a free. Good cover for the midfield. I don't think we're going to be able to offer him here's what I want. I want Sean Longstaff. I know we're going to talk about him again.
You just keep on task.
I'm sorry, but that's why all these yeses and nos are contingent. If we end up with Doucouré on a free, if we can't get a Longstaff and can't get a Suchek, then fine. It's still going to be a tough season, but it's a good signing. But man, I want Sean Longstaff.
Okay.
Give me Suchek and Longstaff as two. That's about 40 to 45 million in capital spent on two really good Premier League midfielders. Really good. Better than anybody we have in our stable right now.
I really like Doucouré. We spoke to Mike about him, and he's pretty down on Betto and Doucouré. But I think the time and being with certain players and them being through several managers like they've been at Everton, and obviously different systems, etc. It's never amazing for a player, but I think Doucouré in the recent period with Everton, in terms of just this absolute hellish period they've been in where he's not been great, I think has been probably one of Everton's best signings in recent times. Nearly 300 appearances at Premier League level. His legs, he's a runner. I think I like when we're talking about Suchek. I think we're talking about Doucouré as well, and Longstaff. They're all players of which offer athleticism, physicality, and effectively, the runners in that midfield as well. The big example that I would always say to people is when you look at Newcastle. I've just been watching them upstairs, and they've got Guimaraes, you've got Tonali, and you've got Joe Linton in the midfield. Now, you're not going to be able to deal with Newcastle's quality. You just won't. That midfield is world class.
It is.
But what you can do is you can match them up when it comes to running and physicality and athleticism and speed. And right now, what Leeds United have, we would be ran over in the Premier League. Tanaka, Gruev, and Ampadu, you have to get bodies in and around these players. They would get run into the ground by players like this. They're strong, they're combative, as I've just mentioned several times. Athletic, which comprises of all those tendencies anyway. So yeah, I think I like these profiles of players that we're looking at, Gabe, but I think that's important to discuss as well.
Yeah, I just think that and some people are saying in the chat, well said, for the kind of money on wages Doucouré would want,
You didn't care about wages not long ago.
No, but it depends on the player. You know what I mean? Like,
but he's on a free. He'll be on a free,
well,
I think.
He is, but like, we're in terms of the relative value of a second striker being as accomplished as those guys we were talking about, and the relative value of a on a free destroyer defensive midfielder with limited, I would say, on ball capability like Doucouré. If I would rather spend the money on,
I don't think there's much between him and Suchek at all in terms of on the ball. I really don't.
I think Suchek's a better player.
Suchek's a better goal scorer, I think, but I'm not sure he's a better player.
I think he's a better player all around. That's my opinion. And same thing with Longstaff. I'd rather have two midfield signings of Longstaff and Suchek than pay, because they're like, they're really high wages.
Well, like, all of them are going to be.
Yeah, but the question is, who's worth it? Do I think Doucouré is worth it? I don't know. Relative value, I'd be a little bit more skeptical. Listen, if we get him on a free, I'm not upset, is what I'm saying. But like, if you're telling me, you can sign like 6 or 7 players across these various positions, I'm going to target Suchek and Longstaff over Doucouré.
We're looking at 32 years of age as well. We're looking at Suchek, who's 30. So you kind of looking at that as well. Leadership qualities, professionalism as well, which we've obviously lost with.
And you need that. You need that in a recently promoted side.
Dude, you do, and we've lost.
And Suchek has won. Like that's something that I know. People are going to say, "Oh, it's a lesser trophy," but the reality is, winning stuff is an important mentality to bring into your team. It's the way you train, the way you prepare. Like, we have a lot of youth in those attacking positions. We have a lot of youth. I don't really know how old Tanaka is, but it's good to have players like that.
27. Ryan says, we have got to remember where we are. These average Premier League players that aren't good enough for their current teams are good enough for us, especially as we are newly promoted.
And remember, Ryan, we're not talking about like players who, quote, aren't good enough, who aren't getting any game time. We're talking about guys with like 30, 40 appearances in a season.
So likely, we've got likely on 54, 46. I don't think Doucouré happens, personally. I don't think Doucouré happens.
I mean, it really depends, but it all depends. I'm not saying anything interesting by saying that.
I think there's a lot of these.
I would put my energies into the other two guys over Doucouré.
Right. Well, do you want to get onto the other one then? If you're able to just riff off about him, it's in the chat now. Sean Longstaff.
Yeah, sign him.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a quoted price of 12 million quid for Longstaff. I think
it's he'd be a great signing.
He's always been on the precipice. I mentioned it on a video before that he does remind me a little bit of McTominay in terms of just arriving late and a little bit box to box. And there's a varied position for him in midfield. I think he can work in a 3. I think he could work in a narrow 3 as well if you just wanted to play that and shut up shop, similar to what we did at Norwich last season in the playoff semis. I like Longstaff a lot. I think he'd bring a lot to this team for 12 million quid. That is the rumored price. You'd absolutely snap.
Physicality as well, something you've talked about. He's 27 years of age, so he's not old.
And he needs that breakout, doesn't he, Gabe? It feels like he needs that breakout part of his career. He's not going to get it at Newcastle. It feels like he'd maybe...
Yeah, he's reached he's reached the ceiling at Newcastle. As you've mentioned, Newcastle has a world-class midfield. That doesn't suddenly make a guy who still plays regularly poor. Yeah. It just means that, he's not good enough to be in one of the top, 10 teams in the world right now. So, he's excellent. I think he's a very good player. Bring him in. I agree, Ken. Rather Longstaff than Doucouré. 100% agree.
Nice as go get Brownhill. Interesting, nice. There's no rumors there, mate. I think he's probably going to sign on again for...
Probably. They just got promoted. Like, why would he
Yeah.
leave,
Yeah. Okay, let's move on again. Any more midfielders anybody wants to get in the chat as well that we've been like actually proper links as well, like not just like things that we're talking about on
we haven't been linked to him, but like I'm curious to know what you would think about this player, because over the last 2 seasons he's been linked out of this current club, even though like he's been so important to what they've done. But I've just seen a lot of smoke around him leaving. And I don't see him upgrading his station to another club bigger than where he's at. So he would have to take a proverbial step down. What would you think about John McGinn from Aston Villa?
No way is he coming to Leeds. No way. No way, Gabe. Where have you got that from?
Well, I didn't say there was a real link. I'm saying he's out of favor. It's been a rumor that he's out of favor at Aston Villa. Is that a player that you? It's a rumor. We don't know if it's true, but like, is that a guy you'd be interested in making a play for?
Yeah, 100%. But at likelihood, I think it's way off the cuff, mate. Way off the cuff. I know he's 30, but Champions League football this season, he's captain, isn't he? There's no way he could.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like 50-50, like whether or not that's true. It could just be people stirring stuff up. But there have been solid rumors that like they're looking to move on from him and upgrade.
Yeah, I get that. I do get that. I do get
that. Because if he would want to stay in the Premier League, he's not going above Aston Villa, is he? You know, he wouldn't be going to Man United. He wouldn't be going to.
I reckon he could get in at like a Forest.
Yeah, probably. But does Forest have the money?
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. So at first glance, we look at a player like that, and say, "Oh, there's no way Leeds could." But the more you look at it, he's not going to be able to improve his station at a club. He's going to have to take a step down in terms of, playing European football. Again, if he's even, I actually think it's kind of absurd that he'd be linked away, but I have seen the rumors for it. So anyway, I just think it's an interesting one. If there's any truth to it, I do think that Leeds should make a phone call, because that's different from like other players who, because again, there are only so many clubs that can make the sign. Like, okay, you could go to maybe Brentford, you could go to maybe Bournemouth, but do they have the money?
Pretty decent step ups, I guess.
Yeah. So,
okay, let's move on. A lot of people are suggesting him, James Milner. I think Milner, from what we've seen online, is being offered an extension at Brighton, and Brighton have an understanding apparently at the club that he's going to go into a coaching role. Would I take James Milner? Absolutely. Absolutely. Runs around. He's got the metabolic rate of like a 22-year-old, keeps himself insanely fit. And as Telly said, quite rightly, he could play the Gilavoggi role, but I think Milner would play as well. I think he'd play. He'd be able to be a real asset, maybe in central midfield at points during the season.
I agree. As long as we're not spending heavy money on him, sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Milner at all. Okay, so we are still in midfield. I'm going to throw one at you as well. I think it was said in the chat. I'm going to throw him up. The chat have said likely as well. Longstaff, 77%. I don't know if people are understanding that this is. Do you think the club is likely to do this?
We have the capital to do it.
But do they want him?
I think they do. Like, why would they not? This is the kind of player that Parag's talked about. Like, Premier League experience, good Premier League experience, not just like has been on a team sheet in the Premier League, but has played meaningful minutes and contributed at a high level. For me, Suchek and Longstaff are both those types of players. That's who you want. Go get him, Parag.
Okay, 2 questions with this guy. James McAtee, obviously a cast off at Man City, allegedly has got lots of clubs looking at him. City have effectively made him available for transfer. Was unbelievable for Sheffield United in the Championship, obviously, and then didn't obviously continue his time. You've also got apparently a fair few German clubs looking at him as well. McAtee would be an outstanding signing, Gabe. I think the likelihood of this for me is probably about 5%.
You know him more than I do, having been in and around the
City,
the Man City ecosystem. Yeah. Listen. I haven't, me, I'm sort of crotchety about young, untested players anyway when you're recently promoted. Are you getting your tea?
Getting the tea.
Oh, he's doing his smile, guys. You see how he turns around like a happy little boy? Like, yeah.
Yes.
Well, look at that cup as well.
Mr. Leeds.
Yeah, there you go. McAtee's one of those players that I'd be a bit afraid of. And here's why. Every season, there's like a couple of names on the market that everyone talks about, these young players. And there's kind of a lot of big clubs are linked to them. There's this race to sign them. And then at the end of the season, you turn around and you're like, oh, he's on a team that was just relegated and he didn't really do much.
Or he has a standout season and we go down and we're able to recoup some serious value for him.
Does that happen a lot for like young players?
I think
really.
I think with someone like McAtee, he's always been hyped up in the Foden bracket. And I don't think he's ever properly got his shot. And I think a starting number. But the thing is that are there 10s anymore? I don't think there are number 10s in football anymore. So I think he'd be an 8.
I don't think they're number 10s in football anymore.
I think they've been siphoned out. I think a big one to look at is Odegaard and Odegaard's position over the last couple of years. Now it's changed almost to a box-to-box midfielder now. I think it's too luxurious right now to have a number 10 in your rank, and probably Bielsa sorted that a little bit with Pablo in the Premier League. But yeah, as Osman Diaz says, they are hybrids. So what are you thinking then, Gabe? McAtee?
Unlikely. He'll be really expensive, won't he?
I think so.
And I think if you're going to spend that kind of money, you want like a major coup signing. Listen, it's not that we wouldn't be very lucky to get him. I just think putting a lot of money into a high risk category probably isn't smart. So I'd say no.
Okay, bit of a right. Okay, should I do this one or should I not do this one?
Go on.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do it. Now
you say Buen dia.
I am not going to do Buendia. I've done Buendia for about 6 years on this show. The reason I wanted to mention this guy, look, I'm gonna preface this with, this is really interesting, Gabe. We have to be very sensitive with this. We spoke about it earlier on. Don't know if you're going to click into gear here with what I'm going to talk about, but today, and we've seen it with Sky Sports as well. Sky Sports were rumouring that Leeds United are effectively going to spend 30 million quid on a midfielder, which is interesting in itself and probably a discussion point in itself. Leeds have then been linked very recently by a top Turkish network this morning. Apparently Manchester City.
I know what you're going to say.
Are not interested. They're not interested anymore in this individual, and Leeds are, and Leeds were interested in him if we hark back to last season, because we're interested in Jonathan Rowe and Gabriel Sara. Now, Gabby Sara was outstanding in the championship. He's been very, very good for them as well, and I think it would be an excellent signing. But it's whether or not you deal with them. Do you deal with them, which is probably the issue. So yeah, Galatasaray and Gabby Sara. Gabe, what we thinking?
Well, hypothetically, if you were going to take a really good player away from them, you wouldn't be dealing with them. You'd be fleecing them, and so it'd be bad for Galatasaray and good for us. So I'm not really sure.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. That's
the idea of staying away from doing business with clubs because of history is going to be problematic for a lot of clubs.
Yeah, 100%. And doing business, as Frank's quite rightly said, is a big conversation here. You take away one of their best assets, with Osimhen. You take away him. In terms of Gabby Sara, and you weaken them.
Yeah, you don't want to do them any favors. That being said, listen, the Turkish league is not the same. It's not a top league.
I think he could acclimatize in the Premier League.
He may be able to, but listen, and let's not get it twisted. He was very good for Norwich in the championship, but over 52 games, with over 4,500 minutes played, 13 goals and 13 assists. Those are very Manuel Solomon numbers, right? So, listen, I'm a little bit averse to bringing in the old gang for Farke. That makes me a little bit nervous. Now,
did Sara play under him?
Sure, yeah, didn't he? Or am I wrong? Am I wrong about this?
I'm not sure he played under him. I don't think he did.
22-23?
Just let us know in the chat. Did he play for him? I'm not sure. He might have had like 4 or 5 months. I don't know. I thought Sara was after, but he might not have been.
Sorry, I thought 22-23 Farke was at Norwich. Is that wrong? Chat me.
Yeah, let us know in the chat. But I do think Sara's got a lot of. He reminds me of Plaqueta. I mentioned it on a video earlier on.
And the thing is, like, it's tough to say because at the same time, you're not going to get. There aren't a lot of guys who can, from a central midfield spot, put that kind of attacking nous together. That being said, it's so hard with the jump, and I'm just a little bit nervous.
I think he's got some Brazil national team caps as well. I think, which it's got to stand for something.
It does.
Like, come on, what level are we talking about here? I mean, this guy's surely an improvement on some of the bits that we've got in that midfield space. Surely.
Sure. No, 100%. 100%. But how much is it going to cost?
Yeah, it's going to, I mean, look, the only reason we're talking about it is because Sky Sports have mentioned that apparently we're looking at 30 million quid for a midfielder. How true that is, I don't know. But
okay, apparently Farke was in Germany then, so I'm wrong.
Sara would cost would cost probably that and north. But I've got a feeling Leeds wouldn't, especially with everything that happened with Ampadu this weekend. I know it's, I don't know. Do you think 49ers are that ruthless that they just wouldn't care? But then they're obviously putting a statement out, which they didn't have to do, about Ampadu and the Galatasaray shirt and all this sort of stuff. I think they're well aware of that club. And
that's different, though. That's apples and oranges. It's apples and oranges. So, like, the idea that you wouldn't buy a player from a club, I just don't think that that's how. I mean, are you not allowed to say the word Galatasaray either? I mean,
feels well. It's you got it's very sensitive, mate. We got to be careful.
Yeah, but let's talk about what we're being sensitive about. Nobody here is saying that we're a Galatasaray fan, that we're happy about what happened, or that we want that club to do well. It's like, so does that mean that every player that's ever gone through Galatasaray you're hurting yourself at that point?
Would we not take Osman?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, listen, do I want to, like, yeah, I'm not going to send players on loan to Galatasaray. I'm not going to give Galatasaray a sweetheart deal selling a player to them. Like, of course not. But
right. Should we move on?
No, I do want to frame conversation for people, because I do think it's important for us to have an intelligent discourse. It's one thing to say, like, nobody in this chat, in this channel involved, wants good things for that club.
No,
but to act like we shouldn't. They're a club in world football, and they're a big club. Like, eventually, we're going to see that the name scrolled across the ticker. It's not endorsing or celebrating anything.
Yeah. Likely 25, unlikely 75%. Right. Okay. Do we have anybody else in the midfield category? I don't think we do. Let's move on to the defensive reinforcements.
My guy. I'm ready to talk about my guy here.
Okay.
Leonardo.
Actually.
Gagliardi. Sign him now.
Actually, I was going to go there. You've said it now, but I actually think probably not defensive. I think that's a bad shout. Let's go wide players. I think that's probably a good way of just like moving down the midfield.
Start at the spine, Connor. The center half's the most important position on the pitch.
I've just kind of bracketed midfielders into one sort of place, really. I've only got one here, unless people in the chat can actually give me credible rumours, and it is our player again, but we'll be signing back. Gabe, Manor Solomon. Manor Solomon.
Daniel Levy is going to want more money.
I think he wants 20 plus, doesn't he?
He's going to want, like, knowing him, he's going to say, "Oh, the price has changed to 30."
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
okay. All right. So here's what I'll say. If we're able to bring in guys like Suchek and Longstaff to play in the middle, then sure, bring a guy like Solomon on the wing, because that's a good side. But if Solomon's one of our big signings of the summer, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? A lot of this is contingent. It makes it sound like I don't want him, which isn't the case. But here's the thing. Solomon, excellent season in the championship. Does he have the breakaway quickness anymore? I didn't see a lot of that, right? And a lot of it, he's going to play better wingers. He's going to be coming up against better defenders.
Yeah.
It's not so easy. And some of it is about athleticism. Do you have that turn of pace to burst away?
David, wingers at speed. Speed, 100%.
I mean, and he has close control, which is excellent, right? So that's important too. But, like, I can see him getting pushed back in the Premier League versus being able to. Is
it not dependent on the price? It's got to be dependent on the price, hasn't it? I think there's a yes, but it has to be dependent on that.
I would 20 million plus for Solomon is a lot of money.
I wouldn't be doing that. No.
Especially because we do have a lot of wingers already at the club.
Well, you could already have two left wingers there anyway.
Yeah.
Likely 57, unlikely 43.
I mean, here's the thing: if somebody is willing to come in and pay 15 million for Brendan Aronson, which I doubt, but if they are, then okay, spend that money directly on Solomon and add another 5 million onto it to hit the 20 valuation. Fine, I'm okay with that, because essentially that's a 5 million net spend.
Do you know what I'm also happy with, though? I'm also happy with having Nonso and Ramazani on the left, and I'm really happy with Leeds focusing on the right wing. That's what I'm happy with. I'm happy with us focusing on the right wing in the centre attacking midfield.
You think Ramazani's in Farkas' plans?
Well, that's a different question, isn't it? Yeah, it's a different question. Someone I just wanted to touch on as well, mate. Shout out to someone in the chat has just mentioned him. We mentioned not long, and guys as well. We don't profess to know everything about all of these players, so if you give us a second or two every now and again, let's just looking them up. Nicholas Raskin as well. We've mentioned him on the rumour mill. Gabe, Rangers, £6 million. Unai Emery has been looking at him at Villa. Bit more of a technical player, heavy presser, bit of a tempo dictator as well. Cheap price, definitely an upgrade on someone like Gruev. A little bit of a different player, but definitely an upgrade on someone like him. I
love this. We have so many midfielders you could choose to be like an upgrade on X, Y, Z. Connor always picks on Gruev.
He's the weakest one. That's why. He's the weakest one. So we'll go likely in the chat. If you do know who he is, I understand he's a little bit more unknown than a few other players. I should say that we've spoken about: Doucouré, Longstaff, Suchek, etc. But yeah, Raskin, Gabe. I guess the perennial question will be: can he move from the SPL and flourish in the Premier League?
It's a good question. I think it depends on the kind of money you would spend on him. What I'm seeing is a valuation of like 5 to 8 million. Right, so I think that's
was very good in Europe as well. So
yeah. So I think that's money that's a risk worth in taking. It's different than when you're spending like 25 million, like you did on other players, who are very untested. See, so it really depends. Like it's several degrees below that. So yeah, I would say I'd be happy with that because worst case scenario, he doesn't work out. He's a depth piece. Best case scenario, he works out and he's super impactful on the pitch. So yeah, I think that he's a decent player, and he could make the jump. But again, I wouldn't be spending more than like 5 to 8 million pounds on him.
Tom says, Gabe, do you know anything about US men's national team Diego Luna was rumored in December?
Yeah, he needs to make the jump abroad, but it's not going to be to the Premier League. And if it is, I would question the sanity of that team. I think he's a good player, but tend to leave MLS. But there are many degrees below between the MLS and
Well, AJ says as well, 6 million for Raskin. AJ, I know you're a Rangers fan as well, mate. Don't worry. We are not suggesting it'll be 6 million. If his market value is 6 million, it's probably going to be around 15, 20, especially with the Premier League side. So, yeah, completely.
I guess it depends on who owns Rangers.
There you go, AJ. There you go. Okay, let's move on. I don't think we've got that many other wingers linked, to be honest with you. So let's go back to the rear guard. Xhaka Bijol, Udinese. He has been rumoured on the Leeds circuit. We spoke about him this morning. Been spoken about from the Italian end as well. Serie A, plays for Udinese. Very, very nice on the ball, athletic. All the very good in the air as well. Modern day centre back, young, has a lot of potential. Looks like a Premier League player. Looks like effectively a top 10 Premier League team signing. From what we hear, and I know, look, it's on the Leeds circuit. This one might get done. I know he's left out the squad tonight as well. Do you see this one as maybe a certainty, Gabe? Let us know in the chat as well if you are aware of him.
I don't know. I have no idea. I've watched him a little bit, but I just don't know how likely that is. The links I've seen the strongest have been to other center halves. And I mean, the reality is it really depends on who we plan on selling and keeping. Center half has been a little bit of a problematic position for us for years now. In the Premier League, we had a terrible stable. In the Championship, we've had injuries. Could be a very good signing for us. Good age, obviously. But
I thought he was younger than that, to be fair. But yeah, he's a good age. You are right.
It is a good age. And he's experienced as well. I appreciate that Transfer Market tells us the outfitter. He's a Nike player.
But the big thing as well, Gabe, is I think the big thing is as well, he's played at a top level, is renowned as a top player in that league as well. So that I think there are a few ticks there. I think this one's likely based on nothing. But
it could be. And that I think it'd be a fair signing. You know who I want to talk about, though.
Yeah. Sel Wober. Don't know why I said Wober there. I meant Verber. Soria, Bogle, Belardi. Calm, Gabe. Rodon.
Belardi is a 2-footed player.
Okay, can we hold on? Shut up.
You just said his name.
No, yeah, because it was on the comment. Likely for Bijol has gone 68%, which was crazily 69%. Is like 20% under what Suchek was. I can see us getting him way ahead of Suchek. I think this is just what people want, to be fair. Right, go on then. Let's speak about it.
I'm going to quote Brownie here. If it meant we could get Belardi, I would pack Pascal's bags for him. I would be his personal bellhop and valet to drive him down to the airport, wherever he needs to go. I would thank him because he's been an excellent servant to the club. But when I tell you Belardi is a different level of center half, his skills on the ball, his distribution, the fact that he plays with both feet. So if we had an injury crisis, you could put him in either center half position and he has thrived in either one. Defensively, his positioning is excellent.
Played under Zerbi.
Yeah, there's one gap in his game that you could possibly criticize him for, that sometimes his discipline's a little bit unwieldy. He gets cards and he can be a little bit excitable at times. But the reality is this is a excellent center half. I am bricked up about him. As a center half myself, no, he's not too expensive. It's the most important position on the pitch. We have been in the Premier League before where we scored goals. We were mid-table scoring goals and we let in 1 million. And that's why we went down. We could not keep clean sheets. We could not limit millions of chances on our goal. And then we had a hologram in goal. Upgrade the goalkeeper position, upgrade the center halves. And I'll tell you what, even if we don't get top players in some of these other positions, we're going to be there. We're going to be competitive to stay up. It's the most important investment we can make. I'm not just saying that as a center half. This guy with Joe Rodon would be special, in my opinion. I think it'd be an excellent signing.
Uncle Tony Pony says, GK signing for you, Gabe. You hire Fofana from Angers, beast in goal, and single-handedly kept them in league. And thoughts? I think Tony's going to Newcastle. Obviously, Newcastle are looking for a replacement for Nick Pope. Maybe even, it might even be Dubravka as well. I think it is going to be Fofana's going to go there. He's been outstanding this season. I've got my pick. You guys know my pick when it comes to David Soria. But when you do look at you here, Fofana, he's the one who everybody's talking about right now. I think there's going to be 10, 12 clubs in for him, mate. So I think we've got to edge our bets a little bit more. But it's a good suggestion. There's a lot of people talking about him right now. But Belardi,
he's going to cost 40 million.
But yeah,
he's worth every penny. There's a reason why, when you look at Fulham, does anybody think Fulham is like a world elite club right now? No. I mean, they're lower mid-table in the Premier League. They wouldn't sell that left-sided center half of theirs for any less than 35 million. Right? So this is what you have to pay to get good defenders in this division that are going to give you a shot of longevity here. Excellent player.
I'm not sure I agree with that, but yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that. I don't think you need to do that. I don't think you need to spend 40 million on a centre back to give you quality at that level. I think you look at Forest with Milenkovic and Murillo, nowhere near that valuation. If you've got a good recruitment team, you can get players in for a lot less than that.
How often you're going to use Nottingham Forest for the next 3 seasons and be living off that cash? But the reality is that doesn't happen very often, does it, Connor? What happens is these teams go right back down.
How many teams come? How many teams come up and in the first season sign a £40 million centre back?
Exactly.
You know it's not going to happen.
Why wouldn't it happen?
And also, there's better value out there for players. 40 million quid.
Name a better center half we could sign.
Bijol's up there.
Do you think he's a better center half than
Udinese? There's a lot.
He's not a better center half. No, he's not. He's not. He's not a better center half.
We're not looking for the best of the best. We've got to look at adequacies really, and people who maybe.
If Belardi's gettable at 40 million, that changes our season outlook. He's that kind of player.
It's never going to happen, mate.
Why wouldn't it happen?
40 million quid for a newly promoted side on Mars.
I'm not saying we have to spend that, But if we're going to spend 150 million in the war chest, which is what every single the YEP is saying it, New York Times is saying it. That's what. Where does that money go? Eventually, you're going to have to sign some players over 30 million, right? You're not going to sign like 15, like, you know what I mean?
There's going to have to be a few expenditures, though. Sorry, there's going to have to be a few outgoings. It's
100% there'll be some outgoings. We know there's going to be a lot of outgoings, but you absolutely have to pay for good talent. And he's not even like look, we're not talking about a guy that could walk into the Barcelona team or the inner team. You know, like, we're talking about a guy who's playing for Marseille very well, by the way. Like, I don't know why you don't think we could get him. 40 million is the top we would have to pay for him. But if you want if we go the Ipswich, Southampton, Leicester route, we're going to end up like Ipswich, Southampton, and Leicester.
No, but all your recruitment is just really good, and you get 2 or 3 players for decent value, as I've just mentioned.
We're already doing that in a ton of other areas on the pitch.
Why can't you use Milenkovic and Murillo as examples? Why
because
not?
Those are edge case scenarios. Typically, top center halves that keep you in the best division in the world cost money.
Do Brighton spend £40 million on centre backs?
Don't know. Do you?
They don't. No, they don't.
Do you know that?
We can check it. Guaranteed they don't.
You've just thrown out Brighton knowing I wouldn't know.
No,
you don't know what they spent on their center halves.
Well, they don't spend 40 million quid.
But we don't know that, do we?
Brentford, Villa spent 40 million on a centre back. I don't think they have. Ezri Konsa's been there for a couple of seasons.
Why would you not spend that kind of money for the most important position on the pitch outside of goalkeeper?
I don't think it's the most important position on the pitch.
Oh God,
it's not.
Is it? Now we're getting into a philosophical conversation about football.
Right. Okay. Let's get into what position we're going into now. To be honest, I don't know if we've been rumored with that many fullbacks. I think it's Koufal in it. Aside from that, not many more, I don't think.
Ryan, I hate to dig you out here, but Tomori's not been good in Serie A. Watched a lot of AC Milan. He's not been good. I know it's a name we know, but absolutely not.
Tsimikas is a good one, Matt. Tsimikas. We have a chat about him.
Yeah.
Again, I like Tsimikas. I do. 29 years of age. Don't mind it. Again, I'm just like, is there Liverpool, don't get me wrong, Liverpool's second left back, 100%, but I'm just thinking of maybe a little bit more potential, a little bit more defensive prowess. I'm not sure about him in duels. He's going to be tested a lot more for Leeds than he was at Liverpool. It's very easy to look good for Liverpool. And he's not really, we're not seeing a lot of him in that effectively left wing back position. I'd want someone a little bit more assured at the back, to be honest. Creatively looks very, very good. I think XG per 90 is up there with Sara and Szoboszlai, but I'm not looking for that in the Premier League. I think Hugo Bueno's at Wolves. I think, we've spoken about a couple of others who are a little bit more defensively resolute. I'd be looking at that a little bit more. I'm not 100% sure I want an absolute replica of Firpo in the Premier League, just in terms of positioning.
Right. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
No notes. I 100% agree with your observations there.
Yeah. Let's have a look at what people are saying. Should go for Doig. Yeah, mate, read my mind. I'd rather have him playing at left back than Byram. I don't think it's going to be one or the other. Boys, I played in Olympiacos Academy. My contacts tell me Mr. Tsimikas wants starting job. Yeah, I can imagine Telly's not going to come to be a second in demand, is he? Good one is this guy. Kyle Walker-Peters, spoke about him not long ago. Free transfer, has played a mass amount of Premier League games. He is an absolute given for me. I think it's a brilliant option. I would take him over Koufal. Kyle Walker-Peters, free, won't be outrageous wage-wise. Solid pro. Thought he was excellent in the Championship. Far too good for the Championship. I think he bridges the gap, Gabe, for me. I think it's
agreed.
A nailed on one, really.
100%. I agree too, especially on a free. Like, worst case scenarios, getting cooked in the Premier League, we go in for somebody in January, but on a free. Low risk, high reward.
Yeah. Do you think something like that's like, I hope a smart option like that? I mean, with someone like him, Gabe, you're going to have to say to him, aren't you? Because obviously he's been playing in the Premier League. What do you say if you're a manager, Gabe, and the 49ers effectively? You've got to say, haven't you, that right back position is up for grabs. You can't just say it's Bogle's and you're going to be second fiddle, because Kyle Walker-Peters won't accept that project.
You also have to have too deep in these positions. Not in every position, but like you need to have competition in a squad like this. The minute you start telegraphing to people across multiple positions that this is yours to lose, you're going to get, in my opinion, poor returns. Maybe it's just the style of teams I've played in and that I've seen, but easy, it's the Premier League.
Easy, dude. What do you not? Fair
Get
enough.
behind the team.
It's your opinion, buddy, but he's 28 years of age. He's decent going forward. He can play on either flank if needed.
He might just be talking in general about. I think he's more talking about the center half position, aren't you? Easy?
Oh yeah, of course he would. Yeah. I thought he would be. But yeah, mate. Whoever if you are talking about Bellardi or if you're talking about Kyle Walker-Peters, let us know. But I do like him, to be honest with you. But yeah. Paul says, can we just take a moment to congratulate the Leeds United ladies who win the job? I've just seen that, mate. Yes.
Did they?
They've just won.
Does that mean they're promoted to the next division?
Mate, I couldn't tell you. I've just come straight on stream, so apologies for my ignorance. But maybe you can.
Please let us know in the chat. That's excellent news if that's the case.
Very good, good news. Goalkeepers.
Wait a minute. Let's go. One more center half linked. Ben Davies on a free from Tottenham.
Right on cue as well. Matt, you've got to work around it, mate. We cannot be looking at it. Cannot be a case. We have to kill.
And if you sign a bunch of players on a free, you can afford to spend 40 million on your center half.
And what if as well, Matt? Some of these players for a free are actually decent players, and they've ran their own contracts down to have the option of going to 10, 12 clubs, which does happen in football now. You know, it doesn't mean because they're on a free they're bad players, mate, at all. It's completely the opposite to what it used to be.
Connor, if you sign a bunch of guys on free, you've spent 40 million on a center half, 40 million for midfielders, and 40 million on a striker. That's not even 150 million, is it? So you still have more money to spend.
Yeah, there's contracts.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
There is contracts though, isn't there? But that they cost a lot of money. But it's whether or not they're separate from the transfer pot.
They are separate from the transfer pot.
Sign Emi Martinez.
No.
Well, yeah.
Do you know who I'd actually sign for goalkeeper?
Go on.
Philip Stankovic from Venezia.
Okay, not aware of him. Is he good?
Yeah, so Venezia is always threatened for relegation in Serie A because they don't have the money to spend on good players outfield. So they brought in a goalkeeper who's really, really good. And this guy, like his plus minus on goals allowed is ridiculous. Like he's excellent, makes quality saves. Is he like the best distribution keeper out there? No, but like the guy doesn't let in cheap goals. I'm so impressed by this dude.
This one for me is going to be really interesting with you because the chat know Gabe is the spender of money when it comes to this war chest.
8 million, by the way. That's what Stankovic would cost. But
Kelleher, Liverpool.
No, you don't spend that kind of money for a backup goalkeeper.
Well, he won't be backup. He'd be starting.
No, he wouldn't be here, but we've seen him as a backup. That's a high risk. We don't know what he is. It's similar to...
He's been good, Gabe. He has been good when he's come in.
He has been good, but do you know who is good for a top team and got a transfer away?
No.
I don't remember his name. No.
Someone clip that.
What's the name of the American? Matt something, who played for Arsenal.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Turner. There. Good Lord. My brain's on cloud 9 today. Matt Turner looked excellent for Arsenal in a backup role. Excellent. He's not a Premier League keeper, is he? Absolutely not. Like you get found out with sustained periods of play.
I don't think he'd be bad. I think 40 million is way too much.
That's what I'm saying. For that kind of money, no way. No way.
Yeah, Livakovic says Telly. Not a bad shout at all. Do you think that's the value, mate? I think
my boy Michael Pollard's 100% right. 40 million for Keller is insane.
Yeah, it's outrageous, really. 100%.
I can't believe I forgot Matt Turner's name. He's a national league player, national team player here.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who have mentioned a couple of these names, they're not rumors. These aren't rumors. I think they're just churned up by people. So we will just leave it there. It has been an hour and a half. I hope you've enjoyed this, everybody. We've got 1,600 of you in the building. We've got nearly 950 of you on YouTube. Make sure you slap a like on the video before you leave. I hope you've enjoyed this version of the Hardline. We're probably going to be doing a lot more transfer bits on the Hardline going through the window because me and Gabe find it quite interesting. Good lad, Ryan. And yeah, make sure you slap a like on the video, everybody. Get your comments in the section below. Am I talking rubbish? Is Gabe talking rubbish? Are we talking sense? We're not talking sense. Let us know in the chat, of course. Cheers, Lee. Thanks, Telly, and we'll be back tomorrow morning with the Room Mill. It's been a pleasure, everybody.
Bring me Bellardi.
See you in a bit.